Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Mania Long No Tournament 4th Literation. So, we are back again, and we're going to be seeing pboo2424 versus malza. So, not really too sure if this is a winners or losers bracket match, but Michael Caster will be in time to say it. So, why don't you introduce yourself, Epic Man?
Yeah, doing pretty well. This is a bit of a last minute kind of kerfuffle that we just had to witness. I mean it is, and it's still relatively early in the tournament. We are bound to experience these kinds of things coming up every now and then. But once again, we are gonna be seeing a match between pboo and malza going up against each other here. Seed 57 versus Seed 40. Very fair discrepancy, going to immediately go for the rolls, as it seems like we have malza winning, and it seems like they're going to be protecting wildcard 2 to start things off.
Alright, okay, this is the loose bracket match, and you're saying wildcard was going to be to protect. After last week, it does make sense. So it does now depend on people's protect. I'm not really too sure what they are about as a player, but I think anything can be on the board for them. See, the thing is, wildcard 2, I would say, kind of being a bit on the mix of physical and coordination. So maybe they might be. So maybe malza might be a bit stronger in some of the more well-rounded bits, maybe more in the coordination. So Tech 1 is going to be going for pboo, and I think this makes sense as a pick to counteract.
Yeah, both these protects definitely make all the more sense for both these players to protect right off the bat, just because of the fact that I feel like the one thing is that pboo is at least trying to look for some of these discomforting picks to try and challenge that of malza here, and malza also wants to be able to try and use some of the more technical maps, so to say, to use that to push into the arsenal of pboo, in which the more important thing right now is going to have to be the bans, and turns out coordination 2 is going to be the ban. So I think this is actually going to be the first round where we actually see coordination 2, one of our notwithstanding most popular maps in the map pool, getting banned out.
It does probably make sense on the side of pboo as well. Maybe just not really too confident on the pure LN accuracy side of things. So for malza, maybe going with wildcard 2 protect, maybe something like coordination 3 could be on the board for them. But I'm not 100% too sure.
Yeah, there is quite a bunch of options to go for, and we have seen that pboo is probably a little more comfortable when it comes to some of the more. Actually, oh sorry, I'm doing my analysis like really light. I have a feeling that it's either that coordination 1 is gonna work in the favor for pboo, or it's not, and it turns out, contrary to what we probably were predicting, malza is gonna be banning out Tech 2 instead. So kind of interesting to see. Tech 1 is a little more simpler when it comes to its technicality, as it's a lot more challenging on that flam and grace control in the field of LNs, and then technical 2 is like definitely a bit of a more wild card oriented map when it comes to the technical side of things. Maybe not as much as Tech 3, but you basically get the gist of it.
You pretty much chucked the words out of my mouth. Tech 2 kind of following some aspects of some of the wildcards, so I think that's what their plan was working for. But, okay, malza jumping straight into coordination 3. This also kind of shares some of the similarities between wildcard 2 as well, and is pretty much going to be your timing hell. But, oh my god, malza, you cannot be sight reading this. Are they sight reading this? I think both players are sight reading this, actually. It's just seeing my double sight reading. Probably in the lobby where just you see both players, and it says, oh, wait, what's it again? Is it like missing beat map or something?
I mean, who knows? Potentially malza could just simply be bluffing here to try and add some additional nerve on the side of pboo to, like, let's say for example it does actually end up to be some kind of sight read, and then turns out, oh wait, what do you mean you beat me by about 10,000 points on this map? I feel like this is the kind of strategy that malza is trying to go for, to try and illusionate the other person or the opposite player, to try and assume that the player is that obviously malza here does not really have any idea basically what's going on in the map. This one being a little more on the timing hell side and contrarian to Boney from Lost Round, which was a little like similar to Raymay, but obviously more on the more contemporary side of things. So definitely makes a little more sense for this one to be the first map, and I can definitely see Malta taking this as the first map as well.
Alright, coming into the intro actually is pretty similar, but people I think getting a bit more 200s are likely and some other misjudgments, but still being traded back by both players. I think when it is still equal coming out the intro, we still have the Kia yet to show. Again, this is going to be kind of your timing hell-esque map. Not full timing hell, but starting to kind of introduce some of those patterns. But when you do get into the Ki, maybe some of those 1/6 bursts might throw off some of the players as we do get into it as well.
Yeah, exactly. Those more technical departments that you were just touching on briefly, those definitely I feel are some of the main choke points that I feel trip up a lot of players in their tracks when it comes to this map specifically, because this is the type of thing that you probably would have been expecting out of the wild card or technical section instead, whereas this one in a coordination map definitely can be off-putting if you don't expect it, and that is what we're going to be seeing with pboo there. Not going to fare very well on that shield right there, as the lead is now objectified on the side of Malta, but still not safe enough to be considered over just yet.
I do believe that was a 50 and some other minor misjudgments on the side of pboo, as he actually hasn't really taken too much of a toll on them. But we saw the second half, so Malta can't really rest, especially that, you know, when you get to the first Ki to this point, you're pretty much given no breaks, so it is still a fight to the end. And we can even see some of the fatigue starting to wear on Malza by just looking at that unstable raid, kind of starting to ever so slightly shift towards the later side, which, when the Axie is getting closer, like, they have a slight advantage, but that is that they can just keep holding on.
Yeah, exactly, and this is going to come to a point in the map where it's going to start mattering the most. If you release too late on a lot of these releases that just demand for your best accuracy at all costs, and this is where we could see some turmoil, and we could definitely see it with the score just showing signs of going down under the conveyor to see like whether it's going to go down under that 4,000 combo or the 4,000 score mark. And even then, there's only just a few seconds of the map remaining, but it seems like the score is not going to be changing as we see the map close out. That is going to be the first point to Malta. Very strong score on their side, beating out pboo by about 3,500 points overall.
I reckon had it not been for that 50 on the side of pboo, probably would have went over to their side on that side of the break point, but still, combo is something you have to manage a lot, especially in the early game where, you know, pure accuracy is going to be expected, and of course, full combos are probably to be expected as well. So that starts off as a pretty strong their first pick, but now we do have that idea what to expect with both players. Malza might have the consistency, but we might see pboo come out in the end maybe with a breakpoint with that PA.
Yeah, exactly. And it seems like even with the sight read from Malza, it seems like that was only really just the first point. There's still just about the rest of the match to unfold and unveil for you viewers out here. But pboo gonna be the next in line to take the pick. It's going to be on none other than Density 2. So definitely a really interesting pick. Definitely all the more safe as well on top of that, to ensure that you're not going way too risky just to start the match off, because if you were to bring out the big guns like very early on in the match, that's only going to bring the bigger risks to you, because Lord knows how much you can bleed on these kinds of maps if you were to play it without at least properly developing the nerve and the maturity going into a match like this overall.
Yeah, Density 2, I can see people going for a bit like this, maybe to test the waters a small bit, maybe trying to catch your mouse on some of the bursts if he is still sight reading this. And really just about this map, it is kind of uncommon that is picked. Only 2 minutes and 12 seconds long, so not much room for error. But you do have a lot of those 1- and 2-handed patterns, especially some of those inverse trills, which can throw you off if you're not careful.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well said there. And think there isn't really anything else that I have to say right now besides from I guess we can just go into Density to see what happens whether we're gonna be seeing pboo counter that pick from Malza earlier on to ensure that they can at least tie the score together, because that's going to be one of the biggest priorities going into a match like this, especially since it's only really the first initial picks that we see of the round overall. So both these players still have a lot of room forever and a lot of places to bleed and to succeed. We just really need to see some effort from pboo to reciprocate that of what we have seen from Malta, who would have essentially flexed that side read overall.
Yeah, absolutely. And coming off the intro, nothing really too significant yet. Malza, we have seen, is probably better when we do see the MA controls, so I think they can afford a few extra 200s, but time will tell if that will happen. So again, with a short map like this, like, you cannot really afford misjudgments, and kind of in a bursty map like this, you have to transition in and out pretty well. Also picking up a couple of misjudgments there, but near the start of the map is traded out a bit by pboo, and again, it is pretty tricky to kind of keep your PA on the controls, so it will come down probably to who's able to transition in and out well.
Yeah, we can definitely see a bit of a steep decrease from the side of Malta in terms of accuracy. That's going to be going down under the 99.60% accuracy mark. We see people managing to sustain their position on that accuracy department, ensuring that they can at least hold up something that is serviceable enough for their scores to suffice in the grand scheme of things, which is going to be one of the most important things going into a map like this, where you still have a lot of these really fast short LN control and also some of the release control as well incorporated within this map. This one going to be a little more denser on the density LN wall side of things, but obviously the jump stream density itself of how dense these patterns are in terms of how many notes you have to hit at once isn't really as dense. It's really just about the finger control, and we can definitely see pboo excelling really well at that as well. Mods are going to be continuing that gradual decrease in accuracy, the fall from grace, as we can see as we continue seeing some of these grades coming from their side going to increase that favor for pboo going into the end, and that's going to bring it over 6,000 points of the lead.
Yeah, I'm heading out the outro. Not much time left for Malta to catch up, and I was going to be giving pboo their comfortable points. Still having the equalizer out, and definitely that better accuracy. Looking at that, although having the better ratio on the side of Malta, that 200 count is really going to matter. I would almost getting 1/5 of their 200 count.
Yeah, I feel this is a very concerning topic that we would have at least seen a bit of a glimpse on back in what we have seen from Coordination Freeze. So I feel like that is the one thing that Malza definitely has to look out for, because even if they did win off of pboo getting a miss on Coordination Free from earlier, that does not mean the battle is going to be just as safe by virtue of any of these misjudges, because even if it comes down to misses, your raw accuracy alone, besides barring that miss, is going to matter just as much if you want to ensure that you have such an objectively good score that will at least grant you like a chance of winning per map.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, Malza probably has to go with more of the physical pick, so maybe to try to throw pboo off, maybe jumping into Tech Free potentially. I would say Tech Free, Wildcard 1, or Density Free would be my bets.
Yeah, definitely very safe picks, I'd say. Especially with the fact that I think Malza here wants to challenge that of the consistency of pboo, especially since we have seen now with Coordination Free, which was a little longer in contrarian to Density 2, even while it was a little more unfair because it was a little more focused on control. But turns out you were right. It's going to be on Tech Free. That's going to be Empath being brought out again. First time since Dynascape's Intermediate Cup.
Yeah, this wasn't Dynascape's Intermediate Cup. You're correct in that.
I mean, it was the first tournament I commentated in, so I guess I remember. Yeah,
it was one of the first I was in as well. Don't worry.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So I would probably see why Malza would go for this. If I was to describe this tech pick, I guess it would be more of tech dump.
Yeah. it definitely makes a little more sense that this does feel a lot more on the more dump text side of things, especially when it comes to Ellen Tech. This one differentiates heavily from the other Ellen technical maps just because of how it utilizes a lot of these technical patterns overall, going out of the more conventional field to provide something that focuses a lot more on finger control, and that alone is something that can really trick up both of these players, and that is something that can be used really well to your advantage. So I feel like that's the thing that malza wants to do here, to try and trip over pboo in their tracks to see if they can at least bleed out some misses to ensure they can get a good score. But the main concern is, will the ratio be good enough for that to be guaranteed?
See, here's my question kind of raising. This, I would arguably say, is the hardest map to keep your PA on. In compensation, this is OD 6.3. So, what I'm kind of raising the question a small bit, if malza is able to keep just holding on to 300s in that area, then I think this pick could favor them.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like the thing with this map is that you're gonna have to really be very consistent with it. Like literally dead center, you need to try your best to act as well as you can, because there's a lot of points in the map where you can just about choke as much as the map basically off wants you to, really. Especially with a lot of these really short and steady flams that we have. But even then, so far, it seems like malza is still managing with them really well. People are going to be struggling a bit with them in terms of being able to ensure that they can ratio a lot of them as perfectly as possible. And that's only going to fall in the favor of malza here going into the back of the chart, as we can see.
Yeah, absolutely. We are just about halfway in the map, and the density and a lot of those LN scatter bursts still rain down into you. It's like you have to manage the bursts inside the bursts, as I would probably describe this. But again, we're halfway through the map, and it is pretty long. Like, the accuracy isn't really too far off. That's around like 200s or 3 maybe.
Wait, Nightcore, I just noticed something. pboo is actually playing with sudden death right now.
Wait, there's no. What are you doing? Please do not miss. Please
No!
do not miss this. Oh
Please
my
do not miss
God.
on
We
this.
just got this now.
Dude.
Okay.
Malza!
Oh my God.
Bro, imagine if this was the secret tactic all of this whole time. People just needs to FC the map, and then it's pretty much over. But if they miss, it's basically malza's victory. Oh my God, what are they doing?
Is even using Southern Death allowed? I'm not even too sure. But if pboo misses, then I guess malza. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
God damn it!
Yeah. Even with that, I think. Even with that. Okay, the match hasn't ended. I think it's because it's not in versus. That's why. It's kind of head to head. I think. It's not.
Yeah.
Team. Exactly. If this was team mode, the match would have ended early. But even then, I think with that miss, it was a 50. Oh my God, that graph.
Yo, bro, the graph literally goes to hell and back. Like, why does it do that? You don't do this in a tournament, bro. Oh my God, that's crazy.
That is too funny.
That's
Why
messed
would?
up.
Okay. Um. Okay, it's not team mode, so the map did not end early. So thankfully. And okay, back to where we were. Had that miss probably not happened on the side of people, they probably would have taken that point, despite the accuracy difference.
Yeah.
I didn't see the sudden death. Was he meant to click mirror and he clicks on death by accident?
I mean, to be fair, in defense of pboo right here, I think a lot of the mods are just cluttered together, so it might be very fair that you probably would have clicked on the wrong one. Either that or you use the hotkeys. It's probably very easy to accidentally pick out the wrong one if you don't memorize exactly which mod is linked to which key on your keyboard, but either way, it still seems like there's friendly competition, so as long as there's that, then that's basically it at the end of the day.
That would put me off. That would put me off so much because like you just jump scared that you fail but you can still play. Like I just get jump scared put off my hand so badly, but now it's 2-1 and it is pboo's next opportunity to pick, and they're going to be jumping into wildcard 3. So I'm kind of surprised about this. I would probably expect them to go for something more in the density side. I mean, not density, coordination side.
Yeah, wildcard 3 definitely makes sense as a pick in my opinion, especially from what we have seen of some of the other density pick that we have seen earlier in the round. This is still gonna follow a bit of a familiar formula. The only difference is that it has influences of tech sprinkled in on top of that. So you have some mini jacks in the middle, which I do believe is a bit of a common choke point for various of the players that I have witnessed going into maps like this throughout the round of 32. So I think this is exactly what pboo is probably banking on, similar to how malza picked out tech free. This time gonna be a little more straightforward so that it's at least more favorable in their opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Wildcard 3 is actually one of the tougher ones, I would say, compared for all the maps. Wait, please, do not run pboo. You're running some death again.
Don't.
Don't. Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah, he's admitted. Oh my god.
Oh my god. Bro's cooked.
You know,
I don't believe it.
You should just make it. You should just make it team versus.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Bro, even the ref is confused. We don't even know what's going on. Is sudden death allowed in this tournament?
Well, here's the thing. If you're running any difficulty reduction mods, then you would probably not win with a max score of 500k.
Well, yeah, that part's pretty obvious to me. I mean,
I guess you just can't run stuff like random quad.
Yeah. Yeah, because is that even possible in multis? It's been a while since I checked. Oh, it turns out sudden death isn't actually allowed in the tournament. Oh no.
Okay, it's not allowed in the tournament.
Bro, we already played like one map of sudden death on. The world is literally destroying itself in the process. Like, we've come this far in humanity. Welcome back to 2012, everyone. Literally 1984, dude. I can't deal with this anymore.
Stay 1984. Oh my god. Okay, can we get ready? Okay, we're ready. I think we're ready. MP settings gone out. And I think now we're ready to start.
Alright. Yeah, malza was pretty vexed about the fact that this interval went on for a little way too long than it should have, but aside, we can now feel the LN with none other than Virtual Paradise, sung by Machine Girl, mapped by our fellow streamer Epsilon Mayagara.
I do believe this is their make debut for this tournament as well with their map.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, this is the first map that they have in any of the map pools overall.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess we can just get started if the MP's been given out.
Yeah, it seems like we are just stuck on this wall where we have the menu for us to order. We don't really get to see whether we actually get to go into the delicious course that we are awaiting, but actually it turns out we will, and we're already about a quarter past the map already. We see a miss from pboo. Oh my goodness.
There we go. Back synced up into the first third. It is dead close right now. 99.57, 99.6. So too much you could swing the things back up towards every side. So, Wildcard free. You can definitely see why this was originally slotted as density. You also have a lot of those coordination aspects that to worry on as well. That I think I could favor either player, just how similar they actually can be.
Yeah, very sheer jump from what we have seen of wildcard free in the previous rounds of this one last week, and especially then ramping up on a lot of that finger control with the mini jacks incorporated as well. We see both the players doing really well managing FCs on the board. It's only really just people with the accuracy advantage by just a bit, and managing to at least ensure that they can wither their way through a lot of these mini jacks without really coffin so much, because that's going to be the main point against malza here, dropping their accuracy once again. That's going to bring pboo over the 2000 over the 2000 score mark before that miss just came on, and now we're back to score flickering.
This map contains very little breaks as well, might I add. Like, you still have to manage some of the technicalities as well before jumping right into density, but the score only by 3 digits, and pboo back up to the max combo cap, starting to flicker back over towards their side. So we still have the ending of the map that we still have to get through. Will anything else happen?
Yeah, absolutely. pboo, despite the depth of their combo, gonna be wanting a bit of that sudden shift to ensure that they can at least get this point intact. They want to be able to tie things together, and they do not want malza under any circumstance to get that break point off their map. As much as they have taken a break, malza is still in with the FC, but we see some rushes and some grades coming out, but unfortunately 1,100 points in their favor, winning the ratio battle above all else.
That 50 was pretty brutal on the side of pboo. Had it not happened, of course, I would have taken it just by that difference. But now, that is actually going to give Malza a very significant advantage with that breakpoint. You can tell how well-rounded these players are when they face off against each other, that any breakpoint would be very significant to your progress. And now, Malza, in the world of their oyster, getting the next pick opportunity as well, which I'm not really too sure on what I think he'll go for. Maybe something similar to Wildcard Free. Maybe one. I don't think Tech 1 has been. Has it been Tech 1 or Tech 2 has been picked?
Tech 2 is banned. Tech 1 is open for grabs.
Aha. Okay. Tech 2, I would say.
No, Tech 2 is banned.
Oh, Tech 2.
Yeah, Tech 1 would definitely make sense as a pick, following up on the routes that would have been planted on the ground by Tech 3, nevertheless. But at the same time, it's either for Malza's case that they're going to be leaving it for later, or we're actually going to be seeing it. But honestly, in my opinion, I don't mind either way. It's just that we can't really tell what is going on while we have this error on, but we are back again, going to see what's going on. And is that a coordination 1 pick I see?
It is going to be Coordination 1. So I'm going to be playing Mental Game now.
Oh boy. Surely I hoped you study maths. Because this map really takes a toll on your patience. And we have seen Malza getting a little impatient earlier on, so oh dear. This is gonna be a bit of a worrying pick, in my opinion. So how does the sound source for your Discord work? Check 1 2, check 1 2. Nightcore, say something.
Hello?
Say something.
Hi.
Okay. We should be good. Alright.